Wait, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, I guess you weren't able to hear me before. So yeah, we streamed like 12 hours ago in the middle of the morning, and now we're streaming, you know, again here. Hey. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday, everyone. Worst trailer ever. Yeah, Random Fist. It was a trailer in a trailer. It was terrible. When is my next Assassin's Creed video, and will I do Five Nights at Freddy's, live stream tomorrow? My next, my next part of Assassin's Creed will be tomorrow. Yeah, and we'll do that Mafia expansion also. Did you get my email? I didn't check. I can just look a little bit later. Yeah, I'll play Five Nights at Freddy's one day.
That's a real beaut of an animal.
Dead Rising 20th anniversary is tomorrow. Really, tomorrow? Okay. I don't even know what Rockstar is doing anymore. There's no point in putting the extended look for a GTA 6 on Netflix. Trying to get money in 6 hours. Yeah. It was... And if you watch the earnings call... And did anybody here watch the earnings call or watch it with me earlier today? Like, Strauss was asked 3 times about that. He was asked 3 times about why, Rockstar was, you know, giving Netflix early access to this trailer, and every single time he said he wouldn't talk about the, deal, he just said that Netflix has been a great partner. That's it. It was, like, the most corporate answer ever that he gave. Did you hear about the new PS5 with no disc spot? What do you mean, Aaron? You mean PS5 digital? The digital edition? Why is everyone so pissed over a 6-hour wait? It's the fact that it's how corporatized everything is getting. That, just think about this, that to watch the trailer on time, you have to pay money to watch an advertisement. Because that's what a trailer is, it's an advertisement. So when you think about it, you're paying money to watch an advertisement. Isn't that ridiculous? Pro, invite me to your session? Okay, okay, James. Strauss is literally a corporate zombie. He sucks. His answers were pretty bad today. It was like he was reading off a script. paying money to watch an advertisement to watch advertisements before watching the one you want to watch to pay for. Oh, right. I just realized that, because I don't have a Netflix account. I never actually had one, believe it or not. But Netflix, there's like a few different subscription models, right? And one of the subscription models, correct me if I'm wrong, gives you advertisements. So you still pay for it, but you get ads, right? So then, like, if you have the base subscription, that means you're watching ads to watch an ad. Oh man, that's... Bro, you crashing out is funny as hell. You're a generational run with the content you've been pushing out lately. Never changed, my G. Thank you, Praise the Dawn. Thank you, dude. Hey, Pro, good evening. This isn't gonna just be a trailer. It's gonna be a really in-depth look at the game. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I hope that we see actual gameplay, too. Maybe some shooting mechanics. Is it true that Strauss said a disc version of GTA 6 is considered? No, I didn't hear much about that. He said, if I remember correctly, he said that 90% of all of our sales are digital, so that's why we're doing it now. That's what he said. Strauss sounded like the dude who said Borderlands movie wouldn't make a dent in their profits, but then cries for people to give it a chance. Yeah. Are scalpers why physical is ending? No. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about corporate greed. Yeah, that's the thing I'm the most interested in. I'm more interested in that than the story or the multiplayer. The number one thing that has me interested in GTA 6 is the map. 100% is the map. That's the thing I'm the most interested in, is the map. I want a good story, don't get me wrong, I do. But I'm just, the map is what I'm interested in the most. What is your Ace Combat 8 wish list? Continuous support for years, for the multiplayer as well, a very long campaign, more single-player story missions. Like, I hope they add more single-player DLC. So, like, I hope they don't end the story there. I would like to see more. And also, for Ace Combat 8, I would like to see, like, a really evil villain. Like, I'd really like to see that for Ace Combat 8. Because I think that's what Ace Combat 7 was missing. I think Ace Combat 7 was missing, like, a really evil villain. And I think that's one of the reasons the game wasn't that strong in story, at least compared to the other Ace Combat games. Because if you look, do you know what the best missions in Ace Combat 7 were? They were actually the DLC storyline. The 3 DLC missions were better than the majority of the campaign. And the reason for that, the missions were so fun, but they had a really evil villain that you fought against, which the main game was lacking. Like, Torres was like a complete psycho that you fought against in the DLC campaign in Ace Combat 7. So, like, I would like to see, like, a really evil, cold-blooded villain that you're fighting against, maybe like an evil dictator. Something like the other games, because the other Ace Combat games had some pretty evil dictators, so I would like to see, like, something like that. What's your wish list for Mafia the Old Country, Man of Honor DLC, Pat? The number one thing, I hope it's longer than 2 hours. Because they only said it's 2 chapters, so I really hope it's longer than 2 hours. Have you played a game with Kanye West in it? No. But the one game that I did play that he was pretty big in was Saints Row the Third, because it was his song Power that was like the theme song for the game. You heard about the Ghost Recon Wildlands update? Yes. I'm actually planning on playing it in the weekend. I don't have any of my tactical gear here, so it's going to be a little hard for me to make a video with that. I might be able to figure something out. Oh, you got him? Okay. Hey, Pro, I want to say I enjoy your content a lot in GTA, Watch Dogs, and other games you played. I hope this helped so much. Question. What would you add if Red Dead Online was still getting updated? Thank you, Evergaming, for the super chat. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Largest super chat today. Let's take him to town and deliver him when there's like 3 minutes left, okay? The thing that I would add to Red Dead Evergaming is, the first thing that I would add is I would add properties. Before, like, I know some people say heists first, but I think properties should come before heists. Because so many players have been playing Red Dead, have so much money already, and they don't have anything to spend it on. Like, look at me. Like, I have almost $400,000 in this game. And $400,000 in this time period is insane. $400,000 in this time period would have been about... I'm just trying to calculate that. That would have been about... let me see. 12, 12, 20, 36, 4... I think so. Hold on a second. I'm trying to calculate. I think it'll be like over $40 million. No, I'm wrong. I was way off. It would be around $12 million in today's money. So, like, the money that I have here, it will be around $12 million in today's money. So, like, 400,000 will be around $12 million in today's money. So basically, my character is $12 million, and, like, I can't purchase, like, a property. Like, the thing is, there are so many really nice houses in Saint Denis. Like, imagine that you could actually buy one of those houses. Wouldn't that be cool? And you could customize the inside of it, like, make your own mansion. And there could be, like, a room in there where you could, like, manage the trader business, the moonshine business, stuff like that. Maybe some mini games, like poker table that you can play with friends. Maybe they could add, like, pool, you know, billiards, you know, something like that. So, like, I would like to see, like, properties, you know, added to the game a lot. And then afterwards, I would like to see heists, but I would like to see, like, them added to the real world, like, where you can actually, like, walk into a bank and just rob it in free mode. Or, like, a train and stuff like that. Do I follow any sports in real life? No. I watched the World Cup, if that counts, but that was about it. It's crazy how good GTA 4 was. Plus the Lost and Damned. Giving people more GTA 4 action, and the Ballad of Gay Tony giving people over-the-top missions, like the ones from the 3D era. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about it, with GTA 4, I actually preferred the system in GTA 4 with the 3 characters better than the system in GTA 5. Because in GTA 5, it was like one big story that you had with the 3 characters, and I didn't like that too much. I actually liked the 3 separate storylines with the 3 characters, so each character had their own storyline, their own antagonist. I actually preferred that much more over the one big storyline.
Oh, hellfire. Shop around then. You'll see how it's best. Didn't get everything you needed, huh?
Hey GB, how you doing? I love how every game you record on stream always cosplays the character you're playing as. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Alien, for that super chat. Yes, I was requested a lot to play Indiana Jones, so I could play it too. Professional, you should pretend you're a Dr. Friedlander when you're trolling scammers. Oh, that'd be funny. I haven't called a scammer in, like, I think it was, like, close to 2 years. I should do that again. Because I remember when I used to call them and annoy them, like, they would get so mad.
Didn't get everything you needed, huh?
Bro, you have the best vibes and seem like a nice person in real life. Thank you, dude. Yeah, you know, he said, Strauss said that Red Dead Online was a very successful game ever gaming. He said that today. Oh, man.
That's the bounty, as agreed.
Oh, yeah, I love Assassin's Creed Rogue. Assassin's Creed Rogue is actually my favorite game in the series. I would like to see Assassin's Creed Rogue get a full remake, like Assassin's Creed Black Flag did. So, like, Black Flag, they could use that same engine for Rogue, because it's also ship combat. So they could use that exact same engine for that. And I would love to see Shay get new missions and new crew members and stuff like that, new side quests. Because one of the biggest complaints about Assassin's Creed Rogue was that Shay didn't get enough screen time. There wasn't enough missions for him. Like, it was a fairly short story. So I would like to see, like, new missions and an epilogue added with Shay. I know they had the epilogue in, like, in Rogue. But, like, I know that Black Flag Resync has, like, a separate epilogue for Edward that wasn't in the original.
You see this badge? This is your last chance.
Have you heard of Red Tears Angola? No, what is that? The only thing I never like was able to truly figure out about Assassin's Creed Rogue is who would Shay supporting in Assassin's Creed Rogue? Would he have supported like Elise's Templar faction, or would he have supported Germain? I think he was supporting Germain. That's what I think he was, because I remember he says at the end of Rogue that we'll create a revolution of our own. So I think he was supporting Germain in Rogue. I do sometimes wish Bulgarin had more to do, given how powerful he is. Much of a danger, and it's clear since Dimitri doesn't try to betray him. Yeah, he felt a bit rushed in the Ballad of Gay Tony. I agree with you there, Alien, yeah. What was Tommy meant by everyone's gonna eat? What, from Mafia? What are you talking about? Which Tommy? Who, Aaron? Thank you, Dynasty, for sponsoring my channel for over three and a half years. Keep making you allies and defeat your enemies. Whoop them well like the Blackhoods, Sylvandir, and certified for chain-smoking cat. Yanni? Wait, what, Dynasty? Yeah, I wanted to play the new Ghost Recon Wildlands DLC. I was thinking about playing it. In honor of GTA 6, I'm gonna dress up as Tommy Vercetti for Halloween. I'm 28. Do you think people will understand the jeans and the Hawaiian shirt? Yes, but make sure that you make the shirt as identical to Tommy's outfit as you can. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. I ordered a new firearm, 300 Blackout AR-15. Oh, that one's nice. I've always been more of a, I like ARs, but I've always personally been more of an AK person. Rogue, at least. The reasoning that I heard, the rumor was why Rogue was so short was Microsoft's Xbox Live wouldn't allow anything more than a certain amount of storage DLC. Yes, new game, no. You know, the thing is when Assassin's Creed Rogue was coming out, everybody thought that Assassin's Creed Rogue would be a bad game, and they thought that Assassin's Creed Unity would be the better game, but it actually turned out the opposite, where Unity was like a complete disaster at launch, and then Rogue was actually a really good game. Have you heard of a Chainsmoker Cat? No. What's my favorite Mafia game? Probably Mafia the Old Country. I just like the old style of Sicilian history. The Red Faction games? Yes. Guerrilla is one of my favorite games. Do you support the Doolittle raid on Japan in World War II? Yes, it raised morale in the US, but it caused Japan to terrorize the civilian Chinese countryside. That is true. Japan terrorized the Chinese countryside looking for the American pilots that ejected. And they killed over 250,000 Chinese people because of that. A lot of the pilots that were in the Doolittle raid actually felt guilty over that. They felt like that they had caused that. So for people that don't know what the Doolittle raid was, it was in 1942. It was basically an American operation to actually bomb Japan and hit Tokyo. And the whole point of it was to shatter Japanese morale. It was so that it would show that Japan was vulnerable, that American planes could actually get through. And the American planes that did not have enough fuel to actually get back. So they launched from carriers, and they actually bombed Tokyo. And then what they did was they ejected over, I think it was the South China Sea. They ejected into the water. They made their way to China, and there was the Chinese resistance actually ended up helping them get back. A lot of them ended up escaping because of that. But the pilots actually felt guilty later on because of that. It's shown in the movie Midway. It's shown how the Japanese basically just started mass murdering villages in China because they believed that they had actually helped the American pilots. Now, you were asking me earlier, do I support the Doolittle raid? I think the Doolittle raid was, necessary, because it was to show that Japan was vulnerable, that it was an attack, directly on Japan's capital. And it did, it did increase American morale. Like, American morale skyrocketed after the Doolittle raid, so it helped a lot. But as for what Japan did, the massacres that they did against the Chinese population, that was on Japan. Japan chose to do that, so it was not the America's fault that Japan started going around murdering, villages in China. It was Japan was the one who ended up choosing to do that. So it was ultimately on them. So that's the way I see it. Is it's not the pilot's fault about the Japanese, like the American pilot's fault that the Japanese went around doing that. It was literally, it was the Japanese who chose to do that. They were the ones who chose to, massacre those villages in China. They were the evil ones who decided to do that in the end. The Templar faction that Shay supported recognized that other Templar factions were wrong or too authoritarian, tyrannical, and acted harshly against their own morals and beliefs. There is a scene. Well, I really hope that if they remake Assassin's Creed Rogue, because Assassin's Creed Rogue could very much get a remake, like how Black Flag did. If they do that, I really hope that they explore more of the Templar ideology in Rogue, because in Rogue they didn't really explore much of the Templar ideology. They didn't really go that much into it. It was basically like, Shay joined the Templars because the assassins were out of control and they were killing so many innocent people, and so he wanted to stop that. That was primarily what it was about. But they didn't really explore much of the ideology of the Templars, which I'm really hoping that if they make an Assassin's Creed Rogue remake, they explore more of that. I really hope they explore more of that. Let me see here. I'd rather be stuck in Vice City for 10 plus years than be stuck in Los Santos. I think Los Santos is the worst city in GTA. Is Los Santos the worst city in GTA? Second worst, I would say. Second worst. The number one worst city in the GTA series, I would say, is Carcer City in Manhunt. Well, technically, it's not in the GTA game, but it is in the same universe, so I would say Carcer City is the worst one. Like, Carcer City is based on Detroit and Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is Gary, Indiana is like one of the most dangerous cities in America. Gary might actually even be the most dangerous city in all of America. I have to look up what the most dangerous city is in America, but Gary would definitely be on there. It would definitely be like one of them. So, like, for people that don't know what Gary is like a small city in Indiana. It's not very far from Chicago, and it has a huge gang violence problem, like really bad, even worse than parts of LA. It's really, really bad. Gary, Indiana is actually what Carcer City was largely based on in Manhunt. And in Gary, Indiana, there's so many abandoned factories, abandoned warehouses, very similar to what you see in, like, Carcer City. Very rundown places. And the thing is, before I moved to the Midwest, I had no idea what Gary even was. I didn't know it. I'm not very close to Gary. I'm a few hundred miles from it. I remember when I was asking my real estate agent, I was asking him, like, what's the worst place in the Midwest? And he was saying it's Gary, and I didn't even know what Gary was, and I looked into it more, and I just found out how rundown of a city it is. But yeah, I'd say Gary is definitely one of the worst ones in America. Does anybody know the city that I'm talking about, Gary? What are your thoughts on Mr. Boss? Well, and thank you for the super chat, Amber. Dang, I'm next to Gary. Oh, you are? Well, you're not in Gary. I'll say that there. Indiana is generally a nice state. It is. It's just that Gary gives Indiana a very bad rep, but for the most part, Indiana's a nice place to live. And let me see here one thing. I'll answer the question here. Let's see. How dangerous is Gary, Indiana, compared to other cities? Let's just see what this says. I'm just curious, 'cause I know it's bad. It maintains a violent crime rate higher than the national average. 898 incidents per 100,000 residents, compared to the U.S. average of 379. So that means that Gary, Indiana is about 2.5 times more violent than the national average of the U.S. Wow. Yeah. But to answer your question about Boss Man, Amber, is I don't really like talking about other channels because I don't like giving them attention. But here's all you need to know about how I feel about other channels. The channels that I don't like, I never talk about. So if there's a channel you never hear me talking about, generally it's a channel I don't like. The only channels I tend to talk about are channels I like and respect. So like, you know, in the GTA community, you know, I like, you know, Tylarius, I like Gilly Master, you know, I like Dark Viper, I like TGG. So there are a few people that I don't like, but like it's basically keep it going there. You know who I'm talking about later on with your question. Is the channels I don't talk about are generally the channels I don't like. Let me see here. Of course, bro, Gary gave us Michael Jackson. Speaking of Michael Jackson, though, do you think he actually did damage to kids? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer that question. I don't know that much about the cases. I don't know about the whole thing. The only thing I can tell you about it is I remember when the whole thing was going on, and when I was a kid, and a lot of that stuff was like in the news and people were talking about, because like I remember like in 2007, because like when did he pass away? I think it was like 2009. Let me see here, because Michael Jackson died in 2009. So yeah, so he died in 2009, and about Michael Jackson is when he died around that time, like and like even a couple of years before that, like 2007, 2008, 2009, I remember those years pretty well. And at that time in 2007, 2008, and even the last year of his life, 2009, is almost everybody believed that he was guilty. Like the majority of people thought that he did it. They thought that he was guilty. But then what happened was after he died, a couple of years later, people started saying maybe he didn't do it after all. And people started saying there really wasn't evidence. So that's what happened is, so like, up until the point where he died, I remember that time almost everybody basically thought that he did it. But then like later on, there were people that were saying maybe he got slandered, maybe he got falsely accused. You know, there wasn't really evidence. And the way I'm seeing it is I didn't see evidence that much too for it. So I was a kid at the time, I didn't really know that much about it. Yeah, that's what people are saying, is it's never been proven. There hasn't really been any direct evidence, so we don't know. So some people say that he did it, some people say he didn't, but from what I've seen right now is most people think that he was innocent. Most people think that he was, you know, wrongly accused and he never did anything like that. Michael Jackson, yeah, that's who we're talking about. So yeah, so if Michael Jackson was innocent, if he was, then that truly is a shame. Because like the last few years of his life, I can't imagine the amount of mental problems that caused him. You know, of just constantly being falsely accused of that stuff. So you know, that was it. So like it wasn't until his death that a lot of people realized, you know, maybe we went too far. Maybe he didn't actually do what he was accused of doing. So that's what I'll basically say about that. I don't know if he's innocent or not. I don't know fully. The only thing I know is that there wasn't really that much evidence against him. So that's what I'll say it. Macaulay Culkin defends him hard till this day. Isn't that the kid who played in Home Alone? And didn't he also play as didn't he play as Volpes in the Fallout TV show also? I was referring to Tommy in Mafia 1, Everyone's Gonna Eat, when he talks about dishonest cops. He means that everybody's gotta get money to support themselves, even through dishonest means. Were you at a truck stop? No.
Another day, partner.
I will say though about truckers. Truckers are generally some of the nicest people ever. I remember one time when I was actually driving to the Midwest from New York, and I remember that I stopped at a truck stop in Indiana. We were talking about Indiana earlier, but it was at a truck stop in Indiana. And I remember I was so exhausted, I just pulled over and I just went to sleep. And I didn't realize it at the time, but the place that I actually pulled over and I stopped in and went to sleep in my car was actually only for trucks. So, like, I thought it was just, like, a general stop, but it was apparently only for trucks, and there was, like, massive fines if you actually stopped there and if you were not a truck. And I stopped there, and I went to sleep. None of the truckers actually woke me up, or nobody called the police on me, or anything like that. And then I woke up, and I realized, and I looked at the signs, I was like, oh, crap. And I drove off. So I probably slept for, like, probably 7 hours. And there was a lot of trucks that I pulled up when I went to sleep, and nobody, and then there was barely any left when I left. So it was nice of them that nobody, like, reported me or called the cops on me for that. Let me see here. You should make a Red Dead Online money guide for this month because collector is triple money. What I'm gonna do, though, Austin, is I'm gonna make a video on the, how to get into a private session on Red Dead, because I know people have been requesting that. So hopefully, I'll get to that and get around to that. I still have a few videos left on this update. I know there's still a few things I want to cover with this update. And then I can probably focus on that. And then maybe I could make a Red Dead money guide, too. Was Iraq under Saddam 80s a success? I think it was a desired place to live with good infrastructure. Daniel Rodriguez, thank you for the super chat. No. Iraq was not a success under Saddam Hussein in the 1980s. Iraq was in the middle of a war in the 1980s. So basically, Saddam Hussein had attacked Iran in 1980, like 1 year after the revolution, thinking that they were weak, and thinking that he could, take control of huge parts of Iran. The war ended really badly. Iran didn't win, Iraq didn't win. Saddam Hussein ended up using chemical weapons in Iran during that war. It was a pretty big and nasty war. And I know that the United States actually supported Iraq largely in that conflict. But then the war ended in a stalemate. Nothing was really gained, but Iraq was in massive debt. And then afterwards, because Iraq was in such debt, Saddam Hussein was demanding that, like, a lot of other Gulf countries start paying the bill for that, claiming that he protected them from Iran, and a lot of Gulf countries refused to pay that, and so he invaded Kuwait and tried to seize their oil fields, and then, it brought Iraq's economy down, and then, Iraq went even more and more down. Saddam Hussein's dictatorship was pretty terrifying. It was, and also Saddam Hussein committed genocide against the Kurds. He did. He killed a lot of them. So if anybody has ever played, like, Metal Gear Solid 1, the woman sniper, Sniper Wolf, I think her name was, or Sniper Fox, I don't remember her name, but she was from Iraq, and she was a Kurdish woman, and she was a victim of, like, the genocide that, like, Saddam Hussein had done against her people. So she had, like, fled, but, like, her people had been wiped out. So, like, that's mentioned in Metal Gear Solid 1, I know that. But that was, like, what's things that Saddam Hussein was, like, doing. So, and this doesn't mean that the Iraq War in 2003 was justified, by the way. It was a stupid conflict. The U.S. should have never got involved in Iraq. But, Saddam Hussein was not a good man. He did some pretty, messed up things. Let me see here. Michael Jackson was a great dude. The media just ruined him because drama sells. The world wasn't ready for someone like him. They did him dirty. Yeah, and and that's the thing is, now, several years later, people have basically come to the conclusion that he probably didn't do it. But that could have definitely contributed to his death, because of the amount of mental problems that was caused by it. Thank you, Alien. I commend you for not blowing your brain cells out during making of the video playing the Court Center, because I would have a mental breakdown, lol. Oh, I was getting so pissed. I was so annoyed while I was making that video, but it was a video I had to make, and it just shows, you know, Rockstar's incompetence, really. Thank you, Zuhire. Let me see here. No offense, but what's with the history lesson and what makes you an expert in history? I was answering a historical question, so I went into history. That's just what I do. Do you always drive from New York to the Midwest? No, I haven't in years. I take planes now. It's not worth the drive anymore. It destroys your health. We better get at least 10 minutes of gameplay for GTA 6 in August 27th. Have you ever shot a 10mm Glock? No. I fired a 9mm Glock, if that counts, but not a 10mm. Thank you, Zach Horn. I will say this, and this might be a very unpopular opinion, but I don't like Glocks. I don't. I've shot them a few times. 2 or 3 times I've shot them. And I don't like their handling. I don't like the trigger on them. A handgun I actually preferred much more is the 1911. I actually did like the 1911. Even if the 1911 is a 9mm, you know, I like it generally more than the Glock. Because I just like the handling of the 1911, and I like the trigger. The trigger on the 1911, like, I really like. So I just wasn't a big fan of the Glocks, personally. Did Rockstar fix the Court Center heist, or is there still more bugs? I played it today and it wasn't that bad, but I'm not going for all the achievements. There's still problems with the stealth. They have fixed a few things. I know they fixed like a glitch where sometimes the alarm will randomly go off. They fixed another glitch where when you go in through the skylight, like you have to wait like 30 seconds before you're connected in fully. Were any Russians in the Wild West before the Soviet Union? You mean the U.S. when you say the Wild West? Well, there was a Russian community that lived in Alaska, Yukon Nick, for example, the bounty in this game. He's actually from the Yukon. So he would be actually from that region up there, and there was a Russian minority that lived in Alaska. A lot of them gained American citizenship. Just played Red Dead Redemption 2 for 5 seconds and I grew a beard. Hey, Danielson. Thank you for the super chat. Do I like the SKS? Yeah. I generally like the SKS. I think it's a reliable weapon. I think it's accurate. It's simple. Finally, I found the dude. Okay.
You need to leave before you get me mad. Estás mal de la.
Have I ever fired the 44 auto mag? You mean the gun that Dirty Harry uses, and also the same gun that Luis uses in Ballad of Gay Tony? No, but I know the gun.
¿Otra vez? No puedo creerlo.
Ultra vest, doesn't that mean, that means another in Spanish, right? Is that what ultra vest means, another? And then he said Pueblo something, so another town something? Am I trying to understand it?
Carajo!
Let me see. Can you imagine Broken Court Center high stealth in GTA 6? Oh, that'd be horrible. Thank you, Too High Roll. The AI better not be this dumb in GTA 6.
Demonios.
Rockstar is so bad in trying to stop you, they forgot to block off the tunnel near the Mission Row PD. Can't even be bothered to pull off their BS. Thank you, Alien, for the super chat. They forgot to block off the tunnel near the Mission Row PD. I gotta check that one out.
This can't be happening again.
Oh, you mean the subways I took in my guide? I got you. When I was doing the getaway vehicles, Alien. Okay, I got it with the Manchester bike. I think that people are too up in arms about this Netflix special since it will be coming to YouTube. Also, what's your favorite GTA radio station? Probably V-Rock in Vice City and Vice City Stories. About people being up in arms about it, it's like, it could have been worse, I will say that. Like, it could have been like that Netflix could have had it for like a week or a couple of days, so I get it that it could have been worse. But at the same time, too, I think it's stupid that, like, you know, Netflix is able to pay off Rockstar with the, you know, pay a subscription to watch it. You have to pay money to watch an advertisement inside an advertisement, you know. Thank you, Trevor Shay.
¡Te encontraré!
Okay.
¡Carajo!
What do you think of the FNC? That's a Belgian gun, or FN, that's a Belgian company. But FNC, let me look up the gun. Maybe this is a gun I've heard of. The FNC, I've actually never heard of this gun. I've never heard, I'm just looking at a picture of it right now. I've actually never heard of it. It uses 5.56. What gun, what country uses this primarily? Belgium? The countries that are using it, it's like weird. It's really weird because it's like countries that are all over the place. It's like Belgium uses it, the Congo uses it, El Salvador uses it, Mongolia, Libya, Mali, Ukraine, Venezuela, Vietnam, Sweden, Sri Lanka. So it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of different countries use this one. Would you say the best RP method is still to buy one crate, sell one crate? Yes. Hey, JBK. What country would I move to? Well, really, the only country that I could move to is Poland because I have Polish citizenship also. But if you were to ask me what country would I move to, if I had to choose, uh, it would be. I'll give you an answer in every single continent. In North America, the United States. I would never, I don't think I would live in another country in North America besides the United States. In South America, it would be Argentina. In Europe, it would be Poland, but if not Poland, the country I have citizenship in, it would be Switzerland. In Africa, it would be Botswana. In Asia, it would be, it would either be Japan or the United Arab Emirates.
You have times as well. I have arranged for some buyout.
Maybe actually I take that back. Maybe Singapore. Yeah, maybe Singapore instead.
Oh, this is a good batch.
Hey, how life since like April? Hey, American loyalist, how are you, dude? I haven't seen you in some time. How have you been?
It is not Calvados. No, I have to cater to my market. The American palate will never be defined by its complexity. Man.
The U.S. is trash? No, JBK, it's not. The U.S. is not a great. Is not the does not have the U.S. is not a perfect country. That's how I would say, but the U.S. has so much more opportunity that a lot of other countries don't. That's what I'll say about it. Do you know what I love about America so much? What's so great about America is that you could literally live in so many different states. Because a lot of countries only have really one type of geography. American states have so many different types of geography, so many different types of governments, so many different cultures around different states, different cities. So the countries are so diverse that literally you could live into so many different regions in America. Hey, let's skip. What's up, man? Good. Been living in Liechtenstein or Monaco. Wait, you've been living in those countries, American loyalist?
Halt right there. Your wagon's getting an inspection. Stop your wagon.
Have you shot a deer? No. I've gone hunting before, but I haven't shot a deer. No. Bro, pick your take. M1 Garand or M14? I would say maybe M1 Garand because it's more simple. Oh yeah, but Botswana is probably the most, underrated country in the world. I think it is. It's such a great country in Africa. It's like when so many people think of Africa, they just think of poverty, but that's not true. There's plenty of places in Africa that are very nice places, and Botswana is in my opinion, the best country in Africa. It is. And what I respect about that country so much is that they don't tolerate corruption. They don't tolerate it at all whatsoever. You steal money from the government, you steal money from the people, you're corrupt, the government will get rid of you. So literally, that's what I respect so much about that country. Is they don't tolerate corruption whatsoever. And because of that, the country has pretty high living standards. People live pretty well in that country. I mean, life's been good. Also, what I meant to ask is what living in Liechtenstein or Monaco, I always pronounce that country's name wrong. Liechtenstein, I think that's how you say Liechtenstein, not Liechtenstein, Liechtenstein. I would probably choose Monaco because I know more about Monaco. I don't know much about, Liechtenstein. But the thing about Monaco is in Monaco, to live in that country, you need to be a millionaire. A lot of people don't know that. So if you're not a millionaire, they won't let you live in the country. They won't. So to have residency in the country, you need to be a millionaire. It's a really weird country, because it's a very small country, but almost every single person that lives in the country is a millionaire. So imagine an entire country just nothing but millionaires. Everybody's a millionaire. That's Monaco. Almost every single person in the country is a millionaire. Almost every person. So that is that's what's so crazy. And the reason that it works is because it's such a small place. It's a small country. I don't think Monaco even has 1 million people. So it's such a small place. Why would I choose to live in a poor country? What poor country? What are you talking about? Would Vito have survived getting whacked if he joined the Vinci crime family? If Vito joined the Vinci crime family and did everything he was told, he would have no problems. Have you ever been contacted by PlayStation for suspicion of modding? No. Never happened to me. What do you think of Malta? I don't know much about Malta. I just know that Malta is a very small country as well. Do you think every Monaco citizen is rich? Not everyone, but like the vast majority of people in the country are rich. Because I know that to gain residency in the country, you need to have you need to, like, to be a resident of Monaco, you need to be a millionaire. Like, you need to show the government how much money you make, that you make a lot of money. That's basically with Monaco. Now, I know Monaco has, like, lower classes. Like, you know, you have people that, you know, have to work in certain industries. I get that. So, you know, you'll have people that'll be, like, janitors and stuff like that, and other jobs, like factories and stuff. Like, I'm thinking, like, taxi drivers. You know, we have stuff like that, but generally, it's like a weird country, like I said, because it's, like, almost everybody lives in the country is, like, a millionaire, and, like, you don't really see stuff like that. How am I a hypocrite? Monaco has 38,000 people. Wow, so that's even much less than I thought. So, yeah, that's how it is. Isn't Monaco a poor country? No, it's not a poor country. But I didn't even choose Monaco as my country to live in. This is somebody was just asking me what I think of Monaco. Oh, no, Morocco is a different country. Morocco is a country that's in northern Africa. Monaco is a country that's in, it's in Europe. Let me see, is everyone in Monaco rich? Let's see this. Okay, about 33% of people in Monaco are millionaires. That's insane. That's higher than really any country. It says, oh, okay, so get this. So the majority of the people that live in Monaco are millionaires, or they are people that are making money in the six figures. And it says here that the working class don't really live in Monaco. So the working class people in Monaco, they do have a working class, but they don't actually live in Monaco. They actually live in France. So because Monaco is inside of France, it's a country inside of France. So they actually live in small towns in France, and then they commute to Monaco for work. Bro, I watched some of your older streams. Why did you used to get a lot of trolls and griefers back in the day? It just happens. I was streaming in public lobbies, so people want attention. They do stuff like that just to harass me. Have I picked up a cat? And I've held a cat before, but... You're a hypocrite because you cry about PlayStation discs and yet you pre-ordered GTA 6 day one. Stop crying. Well, I have to, you know, buy GTA 6 digitally because there's no other way for me to get it. And also, the reason that I pre-ordered GTA 6 live is because I wanted to make it into a video. Like, a lot of people requested I make it into a video the moment that I pre-ordered GTA 6, you know, and the thing about that video is it's a time capsule. That video that I made, it's a time capsule. So literally, the title of the video is it's something like this video will be a time capsule in 10 years. I think that's the name of the video, and it got a lot of views. It did, and basically in the video, I just pre-ordered GTA 6. I had a bunch of problems with PlayStation Store glitching out on me, but I said that I'm gonna react to that video in 10 years and read the comments 10 years from now. So like people left in the comments were saying like hello 10 years in the future and stuff like that. So 10 years from now, I will react to that video I posted. Any tips to finish my collector series fast? Use the Jean Rupke map. Jean Rupke, he's a guy who made like a bunch of like maps showing all the collectible locations in Red Dead. I don't know if I remember that one, Moo. Do you believe far-right movements are created because of the radical far left? Well, it's kind of both. Both are kind of a reaction to the other one. Is, you know, when you have extremes of one side, you're gonna have extremes of the other side. But I will say, though, is that, extremist groups, usually flourish the most in countries that have a lot of social and economic problems. So, countries that have a lot of social and economic problems, you have, like, you know, far-right or far-left people that get, like, very popular in those countries. So, like, it's always countries that have, like, a lot of social and economic problems. And the reason that, you know, the extremists always get so popular in those countries is because the people in those countries feel like no party is listening to them, and so they turn to these extremists. That's basically it. I know, like, you know, if you look at like if you look at a country like, you know, for example, Poland doesn't really have any of that far right stuff. You know, that is like Poland doesn't really have many social and economic problems. But then if you look at some like Western European countries, some Western European countries have some social and economic problems, and you will have like, you know, far left and you'll have far right groups like in some of those other countries. It also happens in Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, like specifically in like Ukraine and Belarus, in those two countries, Ukraine and Belarus have like a really big like extremism problem. Like Ukraine and Belarus and Russia, for example, have like some of the most amount of neo-Nazis in Europe. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like a lot of people are generally surprised when I tell them that the majority of neo-Nazis in Europe are actually in Russia and Ukraine. Like, when I tell people that, people are generally shocked by that. Like, they don't know that. They always assume that it's in Germany, but no, it's not in Germany. It's actually in like, Eastern Europe.
Hell, I do not have the time to go over this with you. I'm busy for once. There's work to do. But take this note, and it'll tell you what you got to do. So go on, and do it now. Go on, then. Go ahead.
I know how to swim, but no, I don't. I'm not good with bikes. I know how to ride a bike, obviously, but I don't know how to do tricks and stuff. Why do Russians believe in that ideology when the real Nazis were trying to wipe them out? Because a lot of people are stupid and ignorant. That's the primary reason. But it's not just Russians. Like, Ukraine has, like, a really bad neo-Nazi problem. Like, a lot of people don't know about that. Like, Ukraine has a really bad neo-Nazi problem. Like, there are even neo-Nazi groups in the Ukrainian military. So, like, Ukraine has, like, a massive problem with it as well. But the reason that, they're like literally the people that are like Eastern that are neo-Nazis in like Eastern Europe are like the stupidest people on this planet, because like literally the Nazis believed that like they believed that Eastern Europeans, like Slavs specifically, are like inferior to the Aryan race. Like they did not consider Slavic people Aryans, and they were gonna wipe them out. They were either gonna, you know, kill them all, enslave them, deport them past the Urals. And so like the fact that you have like you know, Eastern Europeans that are like neo-Nazis are some like the dumbest people ever, because like the Nazis would have killed them. So like I don't know how anybody that's like a Slav can honestly like support that ideology. Oh crap. What the? He's glitching out. That is shaky from Red Dead Redemption 1, yes. Well, yeah, the Bandera support is like really bad in Ukraine. Yeah, I will agree with that. Like Bandera was like a far right extremist lunatic. Okay, let's get this boat here.
Espero que tengas
Do you think that GTA Online characters will transfer to GTA 6? No. I think that you'll make a new character. Pat, I can't super chat you because it's set in the USA, but I'm in Canada. It's okay, Brandon. You don't have to apologize. What is my favorite gun from each category that I shot? My favorite handgun would probably have to be the 1911. My favorite bolt-action rifle. Oh, that one's a little bit tricky one. Let me think. Probably the Springfield Krag, because of how fast the bolt is, and the fact that it has the weirdest design in a bolt-action rifle that I've ever seen, where it has like a little lever that drops down, and you can just drop all the rounds inside of it. So it's a very unique loading mechanism. My favorite semi-automatic rifle would probably have to be the SVT-40, the Soviet SVT-40. My favorite you know, semi-automatic that fires an intermediate cartridge probably have to be the AK-74. Favorite shotgun. I've only actually shot 2 shotguns ever. I've fired a lot of rifles, but I only fired 2. So the only shotgun I have is I have a Browning Auto 5, which is actually this gun. So this shotgun, I have this one in real life. Am I missing another class? What did I cover? Submachine guns. I've never fired a submachine gun before, so I can't really say on which one is my favorite. Have I ever completed Sniper Elite 3 on Authentic? I think I have. Brandon, I'm sorry, dude. I've been busy. I've been doing stuff in the last few days. Like, I wasn't even able to upload an Assassin's Creed Black Flag video and record it. Also, in one of your old streams, you said you didn't like the YouTuber Jelly. Why? It's been years since I watched that dude, so I don't know if he changed or anything. But the reason I didn't like him back in the day was because he would always have like some very clickbaity like thumbnail. It would be like something like, you know, what happens if you jump over like this, like some crazy stunt jump in GTA. And the start of the video, you would see him like going down the jump, about to, you know, hit the jump, and then out of nowhere it cuts, and this cuts to something else that he was doing, and then you have to like watch the whole video, and then at the very end he shows the jump finally, and he would always be screaming loud. He was very loud. So that's just why I didn't like Jelly in general. I didn't like that channel. I don't like channels like that are very loud, screaming, like joking around constantly. It's not for me, personally. Yes, Brandon, I can remove posse members. How's your day going? It's going good. Hello, Super Mario Edgar. Hey, Pro, it's been a while. I haven't used this channel much. I've been practicing on how to drive. So you have any advice for the driver's test? You've been practicing driving, right? So you, what's it called? So when you've been practicing driving, I would say that on your test, just pretend like it's any other day that you've been practicing driving. That's it. Don't get nervous. Just drive casually, drive normally like you would. I just hope they don't make you parallel park on your driver's test. I just hope they don't do that. Because they made me parallel park on my driver's test, and I actually got it right. So I didn't mess anything up. But I hate parallel parking. I cannot stand it. I hate it so much. And the thing is, I've gotten my driver's license, 14, 15 years ago is when I got my driver's license. And in that time, I have never parallel parked in like 14 years. I just never had the need for it. So like I know they teach you so much how to parallel park, but I've never actually done it in like 14 or 15 years. So like that was I didn't need to. You hear Ghost Recon Wildlands got an update? Yes, it did. And I want to play it. Parallel parking was the only thing I had to practice on the driver's test? Oh. Huh. And do you know what I hate the most about parallel parking? Is that getting out. That's what I hate the most. Is, like, it's not even the parking itself, it's getting out. Like, squeezing out. Like, I hate that so much. And then, do you know what the worst thing about trying to squeeze out of that? When you parallel park and you're caught in between two cars and you're slowly trying to squeeze out, and like you're squeezing out slowly at a time, and then what happens is you have some scumbag that, you know, rolls down the street like really fast, and you're already like halfway through like getting out, and you're still slowly getting out, and then he just starts honking constantly when you're trying to squeeze out when you're boxed in by two cars. I hate that so much. Like, it's like when I've gotten boxed in before by cars, like cars have parked so close to me on my front and my back, and then I try to get out, and I'm like slowly squeezing out, and then I'm trying to like get out, and I'm already a little bit under the street, and then somebody just stops right there and just honking at me constantly, getting me to hurry up. Like, I hate that so much. I hate when that happens. Like, people should be honestly patient. People need to have some patience. Let's see here. Jelly channels for kids, not older audiences. I remember watching him as a kid. Maybe. It's kind of weird because he plays GTA, which is an M-rated game. That is one way to look at an enthusiast. Enthusiac. Actually, Super Mario, and as you drive more and more, you're gonna find out that driving on the highway is actually much safer than driving on the streets. Like, I prefer driving on the highway much more than I prefer driving on streets, because on the highway, you're just going, you know, straight down, you know, constantly. You're following a single road. You might be going faster, but that's the way I've always seen it. I've seen highways are always like, you know, highways for me are generally easier than side streets. What's the deal with Silvio so overprotective in Cheese? Oh, he just gets mad during his games because when Silvio starts losing money when he's gambling, he gets like really angry. He loses his control. That's what that was about, Aaron. Pro, why do you not respond to PS messages? I tried to play with you multiple times off stream. Moo, I get literally dozens of messages every single day. Like, every day I get so many messages on PlayStation. I can try to look and see, you know, what you sent to me, like, later. I would just go through my messages and check. But, dude, I'm just getting, so much... Here. What, Brandon? Oh, I see it. Okay. Okay, hang on. Brandon, leave the session. Leave the session right now. Leave. Leave the session. Thank you for telling me, Brandon. Thank you. Yeah, it's just you can't play in a public lobby in peace. It's just you can't. That was it. Okay. Hold on. Do it. Brandon, are you here? Brandon, can you help me make a private session? So, guys, we had to leave that session because we had a known griefer that joined in. He was gonna follow us around and keep killing us. I'm not dealing with this nonsense. He can waste his time in that lobby for all I care. If Mega Man Legends got a remake, would you do a playthrough? 100%. I'm actually going to do a playthrough of Mega Man Legends next year, because next year will be the 30th anniversary, so I'll do a playthrough of it. Dude, what I'll say about, about Mega Man Legends, there's already a guy that's already making a remake. So, like, a guy who's making a mod that's making a remake for it. I don't understand why you don't get early codes from companies for games. I'll tell you why. Hold on. Yeah, we're gonna play in a private session here. So to answer your question, you know, I got a code from that developer, the Book Smugglers game that I played the other day. The developer sent me a code. They didn't pay me at all for the game. I played the game because I liked it, and I like historical games, and so they saw that I liked history, so they sent me that game over. And it was fun. It was a great game. But I have gotten codes from developers before in the past. The developer that I've worked with before in the past, the developers that know me, like I know developers, are from the Sniper Elite team from Rebellion. I know them. I've talked to them before. They sent me Sniper Elite, the Sniper Elite games before. They sent them to me, so I do appreciate that. They sent me even a package with like a bunch of goodies in it, which I appreciate. But I don't work with a lot of other companies. I have requested copies from other companies, but usually companies ignore me. They don't get back to me. Rebellion from Sniper Elite, they always worked with me. They were great partners. But about it is, when I request a copy from a game, like a free copy, usually the free copy that I request are from games that I'm like absolutely sure that I'm gonna like, and games that I'm absolutely sure I'm going to enjoy. Because I don't want to ask for a free copy for a game I'm not going to enjoy, because the developer didn't give me a free copy, then what am I going to do? You know, crap talk their game after they gave me a free copy? So like that's the way I look at it. Is when I buy games that I don't know if I'll like, and if I don't like them, I'll say it straight up because I spent money on it. But if I get a free copy on it, it just feels kind of weird for me to you know, complain about the game when I got it for free. So that's my philosophy, at least. That's the way I look at it. Oh yeah, I know 100. I know Liskiff. You know, there was just so many of these extreme groups even before, you know, 2014. Okay. Brandon, can you tell me when it says processing?
Welcome back, mister.
It kind of sucks that we had to glitch into a private lobby. This is literally the only glitch that I've ever done, really, is to glitch into private sessions. because I should be able to play in a private session, but I have to. So for people wondering, I had a known griefer that joined my session like literally 2 minutes ago, and he was going to harass us, and he was probably going to use God mode and, you know, off the radar glitches, all the other crap they usually do, and I'm not in the mood for dealing with that. It was today was like today was the first week, the first stream on Red Dead in like months that I played in a public lobby, like today. Because I wanted to see if we could play in a public lobby, you know, just chill, and unfortunately we can't. We have morons that, you know, join in and try to kill us and harass us constantly. Honking at parallel parkers is 67 IQ. Though, thank you, Danielson. You know, I'll tell you something. Something about the parallel parking, right? The other thing, do you know one thing that I hated so much, and like, and I cannot stand this so much. Like, I don't even know if there's a term for this. Somebody let me know if there's a term for this. I think it would just be blocking the road. But in New York, where I'm from in New York City, I have seen so many drivers do this, and it literally infuriates the hell out of me. Like, it makes me so angry. Like, if I was a cop, I would write this person up a giant ticket if I caught them doing this. But basically, what I've seen people do in New York, and it pisses me off so much, is what people will do is, people will stop their car in the middle of the street, like a one-way street, like it's a one-way, single-way street. They will stop their car literally in the middle of the street, and they will get out, and they'll just leave their car there. Like, I know people are probably saying, what the hell? Yes, people do this in New York. I've seen this happen. And most of the time this happens is they're talking to somebody they know. So, like, what happens is somebody's, like, driving their car down the street, and they see, like, their friend or their family member that they haven't seen in, like, some time. And they just get out of their car, they leave it there and idle, and then they start talking to, like, the person on the sidewalk while their car is there blocking the street and blocking everyone. And I've seen that happen so many times where I was going to visit one of my friends once, because my family I'm originally from New York City, but my family, they moved out to Long Island in 2007, so I was, like, doing, like, a 20-minute drive, driving back to the city to see my friend, one of my childhood friends, and I was, like, 2 blocks from his house. I was driving down the street, and I see, like, a car just stopped in the middle of the street, just really blocking the road, and there's nobody there. Brandon, can you also invite me? So the car was there. It was literally stopped in the middle of the street. There was nobody in it. It was literally blocking the street, and then I see, like, people on the right side just talking, like, right on the right side of the car, just talking on the sidewalk. And they're, like, laughing and joking and stuff like that. And I open my window, and I say to the dude, I'm like, is this your car? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, can you please move? You're literally blocking the way. And the guy's like, why don't you back up and go around? Like, he's telling me to, you know, back up down a one-way street and, like, go all the way around. And then what happens at that point is I have another guy that starts getting right behind me, and he starts honking at me, thinking that it's my fault at that point. That's, like, that stuff, like, literally, how entitled do you have to be to, like, literally block the street, and then you dare tell people to, like, back up and go around? Like, you literally cannot block an entire city street. You cannot do that, because you feel like talking to your friend or family member on the sidewalk. But, like, I cannot stand when people do that. Sorry if I raged a bit about that, guys, but I cannot stand when people do that. Like, it irritates me so much. I've seen people do that in New York, where I'm from, and it makes me so mad when I see people do that. It really irritates me when people block the street like that. Okay, Brandon, this session is safe, right? It's a private? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Brandon. I owe you one. Okay, let me, I will, go back in game chat here. Oh, James wants me to join his posse. Okay. Okay. James, you need help selling something? My Mount Rushmore of YouTubers? I don't know, because I don't really watch that many YouTubers. But I will tell you guys this, and I'm allowed to say this because I'm from New York, so I guess I am a New Yorker. But sometimes New Yorkers are some of the dumbest people on the planet. because literally they don't think rationally. They don't use common sense. They don't think rationally. Like that story I just told you with the guy blocking the street with his car. The fact that the second guy behind me was honking at me like it's my fault, when literally he should have just opened his window and yelled at the guy that was on the sidewalk to get in his car and move it. But the exact same thing when I worked in retail. When I worked in retail and there was like a long line, the customers would always blame me and not the company when they were short staffing. So when the company wasn't having that many people on shift at once, they would blame me and they would never blame the company. They would never complain to management or anything like that. They would always blame me like it was my fault. Why don't you move to another state? I did. I moved 6 years ago. I moved to the Midwest. I don't live in New York anymore. So I would never move back to New York. You know, one time there was a guy that was pissing me off in public, and it was like a guy that I actually like screamed at him and I cursed him out in public. Because there was like a guy that was actually really pissing me off in public, and it was like one of the few times I actually yelled at somebody, especially in public. And when that happened, my dad like freaked out. Like he wasn't like mad at me or anything, but my dad like it just scared the crap out of him when I started screaming at this dude. Because my dad never heard me really scream at anybody. He always saw me as like a really calm person, and so my dad was like, "Oh, this!" Like when he saw me like scream at this dude. But basically, what happened is the reason I screamed at this guy, and this guy deserved it. When I cursed this guy out, he deserved it. But basically what happened is, this happened like a couple years ago. I had already moved out of New York, but I was visiting my parents. And when I visit my parents, I usually visit them in the summertime, and I stay for like 2 to 3 months. I still, I work on YouTube so I can, work on my gaming laptop here. And, what happened is my mom still works in the city. And she's a cleaner in Manhattan. She works in offices, and she comes home pretty late at night. And what happened is my mom's car broke down. So literally is, as she was literally trying to get her, car out, she, like, drove it out a tiny bit. Her car, like, stalled, and it just died. The engine just died right there. And this was, like, around, like, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I don't go to sleep usually pretty late. I go to sleep at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was very much awake. And my mom called me. And my mom basically said, like, can you come out here with your dad's car and use jumper cables and help me get my car started? And it's like a 20-minute drive, so I was like, sure. I got you, Mom. So I was driving out there. My dad happened to be awake at the time, too, and I told my dad what happened. So my dad, he said, I'll come, too. And me and my dad were driving. We drive over there, and I remember there was no place to park. Like, nowhere. Like, nowhere whatsoever. So we had to use jumper cables from my dad's car. In the middle of the street to help my mom's car move, because there was no cars anywhere. There was no place to park. So like we were trying to be as quick as possible, and we weren't like blocking the street like that idiot I was telling you guys about earlier that was standing on the sidewalk talking to his friend or family member. It was literally a situation where we're trying to get my mom's car unstuck, trying to get the car out, and so what happened was my dad was helping my mom get the car unstuck, and he was using jumper cables, and they were like halfway down the street. What I did was, this was a one-way street. So what I did was, I went, at the beginning of the street, I went to like the crosswalk, and like I was on the sidewalk, I was like right near the road, and like I was waving the cars like, don't come down here, don't come down here. And guess what happened? Nobody listened to me. Nobody listened to me. There was so many other streets that people could have taken, but nobody listened to me. Like when I was trying to wave cars down saying, don't come down here, don't come down here. Like somebody could have easily opened their window and could have seen what happened. We had the hazard lights on in my dad's car, so you could have seen the car stop in the middle of the street with the hazard lights on, but people weren't listening to me. And so there was this van, I remember, it drove down the street, and it literally got behind my mom's car. And, or my dad's car, that was like trying to get my mom's car unstuck. And the guy was just sitting there, and he was just honking the horn, constantly honking the horn, when my mom's car was really broken down right there. And he was acting like it was our fault or something like that, just honking constantly. I told him not to come down the street. The dude wouldn't listen to me. He went down the street, and he just started honking my dad's. Like, my dad was trying to help my mom's car get unstuck with the jumper cables, and this guy was just blowing the horn like crazy. And mind you, this was like, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when this was going on. So this idiot probably woke up the entire neighborhood just doing that with the horn. So I was getting pissed off. I was getting really annoyed with the horn. But then what the guy does is, the guy did something insane. Because this guy had no patience, what he does is, he takes his van, and he slides it past my dad's car. Like, it was a one-way street, and he managed to fit the van past there. Like, it was so close, it was literally like a centimeter past. Like, if a centimeter closer, he would have hit my dad's car. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, he was so close, he literally pushed it through that. And he could have hit my dad's car, he could have hit my dad. My dad was there with the jumper cables, and the guy doesn't even stop there. So he doesn't even keep driving. Once he gets past that, he's already gotten past the car, he could have just driven off and just went about his way. He doesn't do that. He stops his car, he opens his window, and then he starts screaming at me and my dad, you know, asking us, you know, why we are here, and we're literally blocking the street. And, like, literally lost my temper at that point, and I screamed at the dude. And I see the dude, don't you see? My mom's car is broken right here in the middle of the effing street. Like, I literally just yelled at him. Right here. We have hazard lights on. What the F are you doing, you effing idiot? Like, I literally just went off on the dude and just screaming at him. Like, I was so pissed. I was so annoyed. And, like, my dad was, like, completely, like, you know, taken aback by that. Like, my dad, like, freaked out. Like, he got scared. Because, like, my dad never sees me yell at anybody. He always sees me as, like, such a calm person. But, like, that guy, like, really triggered me. Like, I did not get that mad at somebody in, like, a long time. Like, the fact that he wouldn't listen to me, drove down the street, and then sat there honking the horn, waking up the entire neighborhood at, like, you know, close to 2 o'clock in the morning, and then dare slide his car past, almost hitting my dad in his car. And then on top of that, he has the nerve to just, after that, to open up his window and start screaming at us and yelling at us. He could have just driven off, but no, he had to, you know, be a scumbag. And if you're wondering what happened, after I cursed the dude out, he was silent for a moment. He just basically looked at my dad's car and just drove off. That was it. Like, he didn't argue with me or anything. He just drove off. But I'm like, literally, some people literally have no common sense. Some people are just complete idiots. And that's what I'll say, is that some people in New York, unfortunately, you know, they're so stupid. They don't use common sense at all. They don't think rationally when they go about it. Everybody's in such a rush. And they don't think, you know, about what's going on, basically. You can cuss, you know, you're not family friendly. I know, but I usually try to not use foul language for the most part. But it's just that was like a situation that I was just so mad in. Like, I was really pissed in. Because I haven't been that pissed in a long time, but I was, like, really pissed. I was really annoyed. What is the hardest mission in Sniper Elite 3? Oof. Oh, let me think about that. The last mission is actually surprisingly easy. The hardest mission is probably the second to last mission. Probably the mission where Bauer dies from the Tiger tank. Because that mission is ridiculous because there's so many German patrols. And then on top of that is when you get the documents on the tank and you leave the base, there's like that sniper team that ambushes you, and like the sniper team are all using ghillie suits and they're all hiding in different places. And then right after you kill all of them, you have to go to Bauer, and then Bauer gets killed by the Tiger tank, and then you have to fight the Tiger tank in a boss battle. That's probably I don't remember the name of the mission. But it's like the second to last mission in Sniper Elite 3. That one's probably the most difficult one, the hardest one. Let me try to start up a posse here. Okay. Would you have fought him if he hit your dad's car? No, probably not. But I would have called the police. 100% on that. No GTA tonight. I did a Take-Two earnings stream earlier. Today, but I will do a GTA stream on Sunday. I'm worried that GTA 6 will have a trust meter. Do you think it will? Also love the content. What do you mean, like, you mean like with your friends? Is that what you're talking about? Thank you, James, ping back up. In Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, it's mentioned that Noriega had drug money in a Panamanian bank in '89. Do you know if that's true? It is 100% true. Noriega was actively involved in the drug trade. He was. When he says trust meter, what I think he's talking about is I think he's talking about the feature that was in GTA, in GTA 4. In GTA 4, there was like a like bar with your friends. Like, your friends could like you or dislike you. I think that's what he's talking about. Well, Sal Bonsen-Piero was not a Fed. He was just a rat. A Fed is somebody that, like, you know, a police officer. He was a U.S. puppet. Yes and no. So here's the thing about Noriega. Noriega wasn't necessarily like an American puppet. He was more of like an American asset, if that makes sense. Because a puppet is somebody that you control. So basically, if the CIA would tell him to do this or that. But the thing about Noriega is Noriega was an American asset and a Cuban asset too. So what basically happened was the CIA would pay Noriega to be able to install listening posts in Panama. And what Noriega would do is Noriega would then give all that information to Cuba, and he would sell it to Cuba for money. And then what would happen is when the Cubans gave him some kind of info, he would sell that right back to the CIA. And when the CIA gave, like, him some kind of info, he would sell that right back to the Cubans. And it was the same thing with Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, he worked with both the Contras and the Sandinistas. So the socialists and the cartels, he worked with both of them. He worked with everybody, and he also worked with Medellin cartel. He worked with Pablo Escobar. So Noriega was using everyone. That's what he was doing, is he was literally taking money and stabbing everyone in the back. And when you do something like that, it's a really quick way to make everybody your enemy, basically. And what ended up happening with Noriega is, in 1989, the Soviet Union was pretty much on its last legs. Gorbachev had declared that the Cold War was essentially over. And the CIA saw that he was smuggling drugs into America. Now, the U.S. government knew that he was involved in the drug trade, but for the most part, they ignored it. But then once, you know, they didn't really need him anymore, and they realized he was causing a lot of problems with his drugs, they tried to get him to stop. He didn't listen. He ended up sending drugs into Florida with the Medellin cartel. A Florida federal court actually charged him with drug trafficking. And what ended up happening after that is he declared war on America. So a lot of people don't know that. America didn't declare war on Panama. Panama declared war on America. And what ended up happening was there was 40,000 American soldiers inside Panama at that time. So you have to be a complete idiot, a complete dumbass, if you're declaring war on America, especially when America has 40,000 soldiers in your own country. But he, like I said, he was not a very bright person. He was an opportunist. All he cared about was money. And the last straw for America, what made America invade Panama, was that there was 3 American soldiers that were going through a Panamanian checkpoint, Panamanian Defense Forces, and they were civilians, but they were American soldiers, but they were on break, and they saw the Panamanian Defense Forces checkpoint. They didn't want to risk going through it because they knew tensions were really bad, and if they saw their IDs and they saw that they were American soldiers, they didn't know what would happen. So what the Americans did was they started backing up like halfway down the road and turning. And then the Panamanian soldiers, when they saw that, they drove down the road and started screaming at them. And then they opened fire on them. And they opened fire on the car that was leaving. One of the bullets hit one of the American soldiers in the back of the head in the car, killed him instantly. And the other 2 Americans, they dragged them out of the car and they beat them to death. Or they were beating them. They didn't kill them, but they were beating them up really badly. And then there was another American soldier and his wife. They were not even with the car. They saw what happened, and they tried to intervene, and the Panamanian Defense Forces beat them up too and almost killed them. And at that point, the U.S. basically said, you know what, enough of this, F this. We're going to deal with this. We're going to get rid of this guy right now once and for all. And so, like, America can't let something like that go. So, like, an American soldier is killed in another country by that country's government. America's not going to let something like that go. So, like, so that was basically the backstory with it. It was, Noriega sealed his fate with that murder, and the United States invaded in Operation Just Cause. And it was pretty much over for him. What you basically saw in Black Ops 2, that was a real operation. They went after Noriega. They got him. They caught him. But what I will say about Operation Just Cause is, I don't know why I don't know why the U.S. government didn't learn more from that operation, because like they should have used that operation and learned much more from it, because Operation Just Cause is probably the most successful American foreign intervention since like World War II. It probably is. And the reason that Operation Just Cause was such a successful operation is because the United States achieved all of their goals. They had minimal losses to civilians. Very little civilians died. And they didn't destroy the infrastructure of Panama. They got rid of the dictator. They installed a stable government, and they left in a month. They accomplished all of that in a month. Took out a dictator in a month. replaced him with the original guy who won the elections. So the guy who won the elections, Noriega, had him arrested. They gave him back power. They returned Panama to a democratic, country. They got rid of the dictator. They left within a month. They didn't try to nation build or anything like that. So it was such a successful operation. It was. But like it was like, I don't know why they didn't use that as a basis for like future operations. But it was in the future, the United States wanted to nation build, which was a mistake. Nation building, you do that. You stay in a country, you try to build up their infrastructure for like years and years and years, and then you get trapped in an endless war. But yeah. So what I would basically say about that is, I'm not for intervention in other countries. I'm not generally for that. But like Operation Just Cause was very much justified. That was very much justified. Like if I was president, I would have 100% ordered that. Like, there's no doubt about that. So, like, Panama started that war. It was not the U.S. that started that war. It was Panama that started that. And it was the United States was completely justified. And the majority of the Panamanians, the reason they didn't resist is because they hated Noriega so much. They despised him. So, literally, they weren't really against the U.S. when they got rid of him. So that's what I'll say about Just Cause. It was a massive success. Didn't Panama hate the U.S. because of that invasion? Not really. No. For the most part, they didn't, because they hated Noriega so much. Thoughts on the U.S. tourist being generalized? Hey, Bork, what do you mean, like stereotype? Well, it's stupid. Not every American is going to be the same. But I will say, though, is that, some Americans that go to other countries, they give the United States a really bad name. Like one country I know American tourists have really messed up in is they messed up in Japan, because there was American tourists that have gone to Japan and they've done really dumb things. Like they've harassed like the Japanese dancers, geishas, I think they're called. They harassed them with no. And then there was some stupid American tourist. You know what he did? He literally carved his name into like an ancient Japanese Shinto shrine. I'm not joking. So those like Shinto wooden shrines, like the gate things in Japan. I don't know what those things are called. I'm pretty sure it's from the Shinto religion. He like literally carved his name into that. Like an American tourist did that and he got arrested. And so like there are some Americans that have unfortunately given like America a really bad name when they've gone to visit other countries. And because like there were so many stupid tourists, what Japan has done is Japan has actually banned tourists from certain parts of their country. So certain parts of the country tourists cannot enter because tourists have basically just caused so many problems. It kind of sucks because those idiots basically ruined it for everyone else. But yeah. Not to mention, you also had that really stupid, YouTuber, that he went to a forest in Japan and he found like a guy who killed himself and he recorded a video out of it. That was like another really dumb thing that happened. The New York driver should have been uninvited by Rhonda Wellington Lloyd and added to the geek list. I don't blame you for cursing at them. Well, thank you, Mario. Thank you for the super chat. What is your opinion on the war in Iran? Stupid. Dumb. It shouldn't have happened. I don't, I literally predicted that this would happen. I did. Back in March, I said, and that was 5 months ago, I said that this conflict would be America's Ukraine. This could go on until the end of the year. I said that back in March. And look, it's still going on. We're already a quarter of the way through August. Yeah, Logan Paul, that was him.
Some more work then.
Let's see, what are we gonna do? To destroy supplies.
That's good. You wouldn't cross me now, would you, lackey? I damn well doubt you got the gumption. Or the stupidity, neither. These folks sadly do.
It's more of a neutral view, Jonah. Because the United States left Panama in a month. you know, they didn't
either.
stay there and, you know, wreck the country.
boy is going to be in it now. Get over there and
But it was
smash what
Panama
they
that
stole.
essentially started that war,
We'll
not
see.
America.
Won't we?
Morning, Pat. It's 3:13 in the UK at the moment. Hope all is well and hope you're having a nice day. Hey, Red Dead Redemption Outlaw. Hey, Outlaw, you saw my comment the other day when I wrote first on your post, right? Hey, Seth. Thank you for sponsoring the channel. Do I know about the YouTuber Deep Humor and currently what's going on? I have no idea. What's going on? What is this, some drama? I don't know what that is, Kaiten. I've never heard of that one. Can you check out my super chat when you can? I didn't know you made a super chat. Hold on, let me look. I'm sorry. It was from Elijah. Sorry, I didn't see this earlier. Do you think GTA 6 will have a disc eventually? It's possible. They might try to double sell the game. And they might release a disc version because I know a lot of people will buy it for the disc. So it is possible, yeah. About outing tourists because of their political viewpoints? Well, it's not nice, like, you know, discussing politics, especially if you're a guest in somebody's country. Very rude. But if somebody, like, starts harassing somebody else and says, like, oh, I know your political viewpoints are this, and, like, when they're, like, not even talking about politics, then that's just stupid. Thank you, Bork. He is basically getting sub-botted to hell and back. I'm worried he will get banned. It would suck because, like, he's one of the honest and real. So somebody's doing that to him? Thank you, Unknown. Knights v Back Pro. Also, if Knights of the Old Republic remake comes out, would you play it? The story of Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 goes even beyond Red Dead Redemption 2's story 20 years later. Yeah, I would, definitely. I would definitely give it a try and play it. Thank you, Seth. I live in Ireland, and there is no civil social unrest, and we have far-right and casual discrimination over immigration because of over-talked and about housing crisis. I hope you don't me on this topic. No, it's fine. Hands up for the Panther. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I just generally don't like to discuss politics. I don't like far left and I don't like far right people. So that's just my view on it. I'm a very libertarian person. You know, I believe government should get out of people's personal lives, but in general, I just don't like a lot of times discussing politics. But it's fine, dude. I don't think so, Zer. Who is he? From 1 to 10, how bad do you think the GTA 6 microtransactions will be? Maybe 7. GTA Plus is going to be part of it, and there's going to be shark cards, but I wonder how much it's going to affect gameplay. The way I see it, Red Dead Redemption Outlaw is, nobody can do worse than what the current government is doing right now, because the current government really sucks. The one in the UK, well, both US and UK governments kind of suck right now. US, let me see, what did I, Bork. A U.S. tourist visiting Ireland was ousted because of her political viewpoints, and locals asked who she voted for. I won't discuss her stance, but your policy. That's stupid. That's an invasion of privacy. You know, like I said, it's going to another person's country as a guest and discussing politics is very disrespectful. But, like, if you're just going there as, like, a tourist, you're minding your own business, and then somebody says, like, oh, I know you have these political viewpoints, and I don't like them, and starts harassing you, that's an invasion of privacy. It's a form of harassment. That's stupid. That's the people who did that to that person, they should be ashamed of themselves. Pro, if you could change one thing in history, what would that be? For me, no World War I. I'm actually with you on that. If I could change one event in history, no World War I, because World War I was the war that caused so many problems. Like, World War I created the Soviet Union, which is one of those destructive, evil governments that has ever existed in human history. World War I also ended up, causing, later Nazi Germany as well. Nazi Germany rose up because of World War I later. So did fascist Italy too. Is World War I was like probably the most devastating, thing that happened because it triggered so many events. It triggered World War II. It led to the creation of Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union. It led to World War II later on. It led to the Cold War later on with the Soviet Union. So like all of that can be traced to World War I directly. So like World War I is like the cataclysm for everything bad that happened. No, there was some girl that was being harassed in Ireland because like somebody didn't like her political viewpoints, or something. They looked her up on social media or something like that, and they were harassing her over that. That's what one person told me in chat there. Well, Extreme, hang on, let me tell you something. Look, what I will say, I don't know what her viewpoints are. I don't know. This is the first time that I'm hearing about it. But the only thing that I will say is, if somebody goes to another country as a tourist and starts discussing, like, politics, that's very disrespectful because you're a guest in somebody else's country. But if somebody else, like, when you're visiting another country and you're not talking politics, and then somebody, like, goes on your Facebook or something like that and says, like, oh, I don't like your political views, and starts, like, harassing you, that's stupid and that's wrong. It's an invasion of privacy. So the person is just there to visit the country as a tourist. They don't need to be getting harassed. And by that exact same logic is, like, I will tell you something personally. Like, I'm a very big supporter of gun rights. Like, I'm a very big supporter of the right to self-defense, very big supporter of gun rights, and I think that gun rights are a form of American values, and I think it's a huge part of American culture. But even though I have my views on gun rights, I understand that most Europeans don't like guns, and they think that guns should be banned. But if a European tourist, like, came to America, unless they were directly talking to me about it, I wouldn't be going up to them and be like, I bet you hate gun rights and stuff like that, and, like, get out of our country. Like, I wouldn't be saying that. I wouldn't be doing stuff like that, because, I might have my opinions, but I'm not going to be going around and, like, harassing somebody because they have some different viewpoints than me. So that's basically my point on it. You gotta rush him back. Just rush him back to Blackwater because this mission is so short. This is the hardest bounty in the game. Out of all of the bounties, this is the hardest one because this one the mission only gives you like a 5-minute timer, and there's so many enemies. You missed my comment. I'll look at the comments in just a second. I'm just trying to get out of here right now. I'm getting surrounded. Oh, there are definitely Europeans that, you know, support the right to bear arms. Like, I know Europeans that, like, you know, support like gun rights, for example. But like the only point that I was getting at is that there is like a lot of people in Europe, for example, that like really hate guns and don't like guns and think that guns should be banned. But even though like I personally think that that's stupid, wanting guns banned, is I'm not gonna like if a European tourist comes to America, I'm not gonna like harass them or say to them like, you know, I know you hate guns or something like that, or like, you know, get out of our country. I'm not gonna do something like that because they're a guest in my country. So like the only time I would actually say something to a European is if I encountered like a European in my country here, like they came here and they were like just not as like they weren't minding their own business, like they were harassing me and bothering me and telling me like, oh, you know, I hate guns, I hate your culture and stuff like that. I would tell them like, why are you here in my country then? Like, you know, why don't you go back to your country? I'd say that to them at that point. But, like, if they're not, you know, saying anything to me, if they're not, like, bothering me or something like that, their view is their view. That is the way that I look at it. So that's basically my whole viewpoint on it. So, if people aren't starting crap with me, if they're not bothering me, if they're not, like, you know, judging me and stuff like that, then I'm not going to, like, you know, say anything to them. So that's basically just my point on it. Can you look it up and how would you respond to well, I would have to read the whole article another time. I can do it on the exclusive stream if you want me to Bork.
Dead means we can close the books on this one. Here's your due.
What do you think about what Strauss Zelnick said about physical discs? And do you think he included DLC and MTX in his 90% of sales? I think the microtransactions he did include in that, yes. I don't believe it that 90% of their sales are digital. I don't believe that number. So I agree with you there, Penguin.
Life treating you well?
Bro, you got any advice? I'm kind of broke. Are you working right now? No?
Have the decency to tell you how...
And I just want to know, just curious, do you have like a side gig? Also, historically, guns have been used in Europe more for warfare and protection, while in America, they were more connected to property rights and protecting your land. Yeah, I guess there is a bit of a cultural difference there.
How's it treating you?
Good as you can be.
Glad someone's on the up.
Oh, thank you, David. Should they bring back the Ace system from Ace Combat 0 to 8? Yeah, I think that they're gonna have squadrons back. Do I believe in eugenics? No. It's a stupid and like racist view. It's dumb. It's you have like you know, white supremacy that mixes with science. It's idiotic. It's dumb. Okay, I'll see you. You're gonna check on deep humor. I'll see you, unknown subject.
For a bottle of whiskey. It wasn't even the expensive stuff either. Precious.
Let's see here.
That boy Joshua got something.
It's not that they necessarily lied, extreme, it's that they are manipulating data. Like, here's what happens is, and this is what people don't know about data, is that data can be manipulated in a lot of ways. So like, the data could prove one thing, but people could use the data to prove completely another thing just by manipulating it. Not necessarily by lying, but by manipulating it. So like, when Strauss Zelnick today, I'll give you an example. When he said that 90% of our sales are digital. When he says 90% of our sales are digital. Sales, he said specifically. That is a very vague topic. If he said specifically new games, like new games that are released, like just games in general, like the full game, I don't think it'll be 90% on digital. But if you add the DLCs, the microtransactions and stuff like that, the amount that sells, and you compare that with the games, then you can make the argument that 90% it's digital sales. So you see how, you know, it can be manipulated heavily like that? Just you can basically take, you can take any type of stat and basically manipulate it to basically serve your own agenda. Politicians do it all the time. Well, yes, Adrian. I'm at level 216 and I'm grinding the one crate method. How long do you think it'll take me to reach level 600? If you keep doing this a few times a day, I think you can get to level 600 before GTA 6 comes out. Because you're only level 200, so that'll be actually pretty easy for you to level up from that. You can level up like 5 times a day, or probably even more than that at your level, just using that. The 1933 business plot, what is that? Are you talking about when all of these manufacturing companies worked with the Nazis? Is that what you're talking about? Nine and 7. Here we go.
Between you and me, I was visiting the ladies. It struck me down for lying to two who didn't haul me off and have their way. Well, I never.
Well, here's what's my level on this game? I'm like level 400 something, 470 something, I think.
Play it ain't the first time, right?
Well, here's here's one thing I will say about this, and this will be my last thing talking about this because I don't want to get into the gun debate too much. And Red Dead Redemption Outlaw, this is my view on this, is if we are going by the logic that that guns should be banned because civilians are irresponsible and they can, you know, they can do shootings, and because of that guns should be banned. If we're going by that logic, then do you know who we should ban guns from first? Do you know what group of people has actually committed the most amount of shootings in history, like the most amount of massacres, the most amount of shootings? You know who has done that? Government. Throughout human history, governments have always committed the worst mass shootings, the worst massacres with guns. It's always been done by governments. Governments have committed genocides with guns. So it's like governments are always the ones who have literally committed the worst atrocities with guns. Like, the atrocities that governments have committed with guns is far worse than any atrocity any civilian, you know, crazy civilian has done. And so if we are going by that logic, that, you know, civilians should not have guns because they are, you know, irresponsible, then by that logic, the first person that we should disarm is all governments of the world. take the guns away from their police, take the guns away from their militaries, take the guns away from all their bodyguards protecting the politicians, if we are going by that logic. Because the governments themselves have shown that they are irresponsible with guns, that they cannot be trusted with guns. So when a civilian, commits a mass shooting, does something horrible like that, we blame all civilian gun owners. But when governments, do something really horrible with their guns, start wars, kill innocent people, we don't blame the governments. We say, oh, governments can still always keep their guns, that's fine. Governments are responsible, even though they've proven that they are the most irresponsible people on the planet. So that's just the way that I look at things when I look at the gun debate, is I see it that if civilians are irresponsible with guns and they shouldn't have guns, then why should the government? Considering governments have proven that they are the most irresponsible in history of guns, when you really think about it. So that's just my viewpoint on it. I don't mind it if you have a different viewpoint. I'm not gonna hate you for it, but that's just my views on it personally.
Wasn't even the expensive stuff either. Is that so? The other day, I watched two fellas line up for a duel, draw irons, and then miss every shot. Kind of took the wind out of their sails.
Business as usual then.
No, I honestly don't want anything to do with the current U.S. government. I just think the whole thing is incompetent right now. I could try to do a video on the crate method in GTA Mu. Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that I'm an anarchist. I'm not an anarchist. I'm more of a libertarian. I really don't like government in general, and I think that government is inherently evil. I do believe that. I think that some government is needed. But I think that's society as a whole is better when you have the least amount of government, least amount of, government intruding in people's personal lives.
Like I heard what you heard.
Well.
Well, I don't think we should have even been in Syria, Outlaw. Let me see here. 2 and a Q. Or a queen. Do one thing here.
There's this one place in Santa Denis. Whew, best food I ever ate.
People kill people. I've owned my guns for over 20 years. Have more than 10, and I've never killed one person. Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I actually even own more than 10 guns. I have never fired a gun at a person or anything like that. I never will. So, it's just the, it's just this, because one thing that I personally don't like is I personally don't like when people say, oh, you shouldn't have that or something like that. Or the way I look at it is it's not your business what I own and what I don't own. It's my personal business. It's my house. It's my property. So if I want to own a gun, I'm gonna own a gun. But, the way I look at it is when government basically tries to ban guns and takes guns away from the people, the government is essentially telling the people, we don't trust you. We don't trust you to have guns. That's what the government is essentially doing. The governments won't admit that, but that's essentially what they're doing. When they try to control guns, they're essentially saying, we don't trust you to own guns. We don't trust you. And the way I look at it, my philosophy, my viewpoint on this, is if the government does not trust me to own a gun, why should I trust the government to own guns? That's my logic. That's personally the way I look at it. So if the government is not going to trust me, why should I trust the government? The government has already shown they're not trustworthy. Politicians lie all the time. Politicians are some of the most opportunistic people on the planet. They only want to benefit themselves. What about the Dr. Fauci situation? I think that he was involved in some things that he was not very clear on. I remember years ago when there was all these conspiracies about him having ties to Chinese, labs, and people were, and the media was saying, oh, it's not true, it's false. And now it turned out a lot of that stuff is true, and they're having hearings, but I don't think anything is going to come out of those hearings. I don't think anything will happen. I don't think he's going to be prosecuted, so I don't think anyone's going to be held liable. I don't think anything will happen.
Morning, sir.
What do you think about the U.S. Department of Defense retaining that soldiers who committed the Wounded Knee massacre would keep their medals of honor? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The Wounded Knee massacre is probably the worst massacre. The worst massacre against natives done by the U.S. is probably the Wounded Knee. Like Wounded Knee, like an entire tribe was essentially wiped out. Like that was just brutal. Like you had women and children just running for their lives, and like the soldiers just opened fire, killing all of them. It was horrible. That was Wounded Knee was really, really, really bad. That was so no, the soldiers in that should never be honored. That was just disgusting.
How are things with you?
Fine, just fine.
Well, that's swell to hear.
Did you hear? That boy Joshua got something.
There are some people in the government who are a little corrupt. They yeah. That statement. I remember Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, they were like this on that part. Wounded Knee started due to gun confiscation, I believe. That is true. The Wounded Knee massacre happened because of gun confiscation. The native tribe, I'm trying to remember which tribe it was. I think, was it the Sioux? They were being told, what happened is they were told to disarm. They were basically told to give up all their guns. So the U.S. Army walked into their camp, and they ordered them to all disarm. And what happened was all the natives were basically just dropping all their guns in like a big pile, and the American soldiers were there. And then the story goes one of two ways at that point. The first version of the story is that there was one Native American that was deaf, so he couldn't hear, and he couldn't understand that he had to give up his gun, and he refused to, and then basically people started shooting. The second version of the story is that there was just a Native American who refused to give up his gun, and then the American soldiers started shooting. We don't know which one happened. And then what happened was the U.S. Army started firing on everybody in the village, killing everybody. A lot of the natives tried to go back and grab the guns in the pile. It was too late. And then there was like a lot of women and children that started like running away in the fields, and the soldiers actually chased them down and shot them as they were running away. Like it's like one of those evil things the U.S. has done in its history, was like the Wounded Knee massacre. That was horrible. And I love my country. I love the United States deeply, but that was disgusting. That was like one of the worst things that we've done as a country, was the Wounded Knee massacre. That was like just complete evil. Like, that was, absolutely disturbing. I'm Native American, and they were just following orders. At the end of the day, they were humans, and maybe even good people, too. No, like, dude, look, I will tell you something, is I could never do something like that ever in my life. I could never live with myself. Like, if I participated in something like that, I'd probably want to take my own life. Like, I would not be able to live with myself with something like that. I would rather disobey orders and be put on trial and face trial in prison, or even possibly be shot, than have to do something like that. Like, you could never get me to actually do something like that. Like, I would rather die myself than be forced to murder somebody. I could not do that. I could not. The amount of guilt that I would have trying to live with that, it would just eat me up too much. So I would not be able to live myself with that. Crime Boss later, maybe I could get on a bit later, General.
She's knocked up. It's like what happens on regular clock.
I heard that said before.
Apparently Strauss said GTA 6 disc isn't out of the question. I don't think I heard that. I maybe might have missed that.
Rumors going around again about this jade mask. Mumbo jumbo, if you ask me.
You know, one of the things I remember, Nico said in GTA 4, and even though he's a fictional character, he actually makes a really good point. And he says to Phil, I remember it was Phil he was talking to, and it was like the mission where I think it was the mission called Catch the Wave, and it was where Nico and Phil were taking the truck and pretending to be the Ancelottis to pick up the drugs from the Russians, and Nico told Phil, this plan isn't going to work. The Russians are going to realize we're not the Ancelottis when we drive the truck in. This is, we should take a different approach. And then Phil says, these are the orders, and we just got to follow them. And then Nico says to him, that's not an excuse. And he says that before you follow orders, you have to make sure you believe in them. That's what he said. That's one of his quotes. I remember that. And that can really be applied to anything, really. So, like, that was, and Nico had seen some really horrible things in the Bosnian War. He possibly participated in war crimes. We don't know if Nico participated in war crimes. But that's a really good quote that I heard, is that, you have to make sure you believe in the orders before you follow them. So that was, literally is when people say, oh, you can't hold me responsible, I was just following orders, not an excuse. Not. The Nazis tried to do that after the war, and the courts ruled that it wasn't an excuse. And also, the reason that the Nuremberg trials, the reason that they set that precedent, where they said that following orders is not a justification to, commit war crimes, the reason that they set that precedent is because they realized that in the future, we're going to have other wars that are going to happen in the future, and we're going to have war criminals in the future. And they realized if we let this go right now, if we don't punish these people, and we say that, oh, they were just following orders, they're not going to be held responsible, every single war criminal in the future could commit tons of war crimes, and then when they get charged, they could just say, oh, we're just following orders, and they get away with it. And that's why Nuremberg took a stand and they put their foot down, and they said, no. This is not a justification. You can't commit crimes against humanity and then claim that you were just following orders. It doesn't work like that. So that's why Nuremberg, did that. They took a stand on that, and they said no. Because and the thing is, most of the Nazis that said that we were just following orders, they believed in it. They weren't just following orders, they believed in the orders. They believed in the orders. They supported the orders. So that's not an excuse. So, like, literally, a lot of these guys were, hardcore, Nazi supporters. They were early Nazi party members. And I'm supposed to believe that, oh, I was scared for my life, so I had to commit war crimes. It's BS. It's nonsense. It's just a defense. They got caught. They're scared of being hanged at trial. And so now they're basically just using that as an excuse. That's what that is. Let's see. Hey, Pro, can you say you have to donate to me as a joke? Well, even though it's a joke, I probably won't say that, Barry. I appreciate the super chat, but in my time of streaming on YouTube, I've been streaming on YouTube for over 10 years now at this point, and in those 10 years of me streaming, I have never once ever asked people to donate to me. Not once. You can go through my hundreds of streams, you will never find one stream of me ever asking for a donation. Though my personal philosophy when it comes to donations is I believe that donations should be earned by people willingly donating. So I have donations on as an option. I like donations. When I get donations, they help me out, and I appreciate them greatly, and I always thank people, read out their comments and their names. But I cannot stand YouTubers that guilt trip their viewers and, make them feel bad and say, oh, you need to support me, you're getting free content, blah, 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 this. I always think that if people truly support you and they like you as a channel, they will donate to you. You don't need to pressure them in order to do so. So that's always has been my philosophy on it, Barry. I hope you understand on that one. If GTA A Plus is going to be mandatory on GTA 6 Online, it could be Red Lobster. We don't know. We're going to have to see. It could be. Yes, but you can't trial everyone who is just following orders. Post-war Germany had to hire a lot of ex-Nazis because there was no one else to hire. I don't believe that, Chuck. If you look at West Germany is one of the most corrupt countries that ever existed. It did. Now, West Germany was a better place to live than East Germany. East Germany was way worse than West Germany. But West Germany was extremely corrupt as a country. Very corrupt. A lot of people don't realize how corrupt that country was. Because after the United States ended denazification, I think it was like 1955 when they ended denazification. It was like the middle of the 50s. And it was a mistake because they should have kept going with denazification, because the West German government was staffed with a lot of judges that were former Nazi party members. And what happened was, when there was Nazi war criminals that were basically, put on trial, what a lot of these judges would do is these judges would basically give them life in prison. But then what would happen is, after denazification ended, these same judges would go back to that case, and they would release that person. And what they would use as an excuse is they would say, oh, they're sick, they're old, they're going to die in a few years, and then this person would live for another 20 or 30 years. And that's what happened. A lot of Nazis that actually got life sentences were only out in less than 10 years, because a lot of these West German courts constantly, released them, because they were, sympathetic to a lot of these Nazis. And so, as somebody whose ancestors are from Poland, that honestly pisses me off, because it's 20% of all Polish people died in World War II. So many people died in Poland because of the Nazis. And for, me looking at crap like that, of just my people getting slaughtered, and then these stupid West German courts constantly just letting these guys go free, it honestly just pisses me off to the ends. So that infuriates me. So, West Germany did not really stop becoming a Nazi country until, I would say, probably the late 70s, early 80s, because at that point you had the next generation of people, and the next generation of people, they were asking basically their parents, what they did, and stuff like that, and questioning it more. Oh, I know it's been going on, BK Vincent, but I haven't been paying attention that much to it. Fold here. Yes, they did, Adrian. Well, Malik, I'm not saying that every single person that fought in the German army should have been put on trial in World War II, because the example that you just used, there was kids that were, drafted into the German army in, the last few weeks of the war, and those kids, they can't be held responsible for, stuff like that. They were forced into the army the last couple weeks of the war, and there was, people that were conscripts that were forced into the military. But I'm talking specifically known war criminals, commanders, and every single person in the SS. So every single SS member should have been put on trial, because that was literally the most fanatical unit. But everyone else, commanders, top officials, Nazi party members, yes, those guys should be put on trial. Your ass at poker? Nah. Haven't been getting good hands. I will win another hand. You'll see. Okay.
So long now.
Well, because the SS was a criminal organization. That's what it was. Kim Jong, let's see here. 8 and a 9. And a 10. I might be able to get a straight here. How can you say that West Germany is corrupt when they had deep denazification in the 70s and 80s, while in East Germany? Do you remember what I said? I said that East Germany, or West Germany, did not become denazified until the late 70s, early 80s, because of the next generation of people. That's when people started looking into this stuff more. And where you had modern Germany come from. But West Germany was not fully denazified until, I would say, the 70s at least. That's what I would put about it, Jonah. So, a government that protects Nazis, for me, that's a corrupt government. That's the way that I look at it. How do you feel about a glitter bomb on porch pirates and they called the cops on them? That's stupid. They were the ones trying to steal it. Ah, damn. Well, no, I never listen. When I said that West Germany is a corrupt country, that doesn't mean that I was defending East Germany whatsoever. Like East Germany was way worse than East Germany was way worse than West Germany was. It was more brutal. It was more oppressive. Like the Stasi were, evil guys. But the only thing I'm saying is I'm saying how how corrupt West Germany was. Like a lot of people think that West Germany was this nice, state that valued human rights and everything like that. When it's not true, is that they were really staffed by so many, former Nazis and they protected Nazis. Hypothetically speaking, if GTA 6 was locked behind GTA Plus, would you not play it? I'd have to play it at that point, dude, because like I cover it on my channel. So like I would have no choice but to, get it. And that's the thing is I made a pledge not to get GTA Plus, but I said before that I'm only gonna get GTA Plus if it forces me to play GTA 6 online. That's the only thing, because like I have to, make guides and cover the game and stuff like that on my channel. But I will never get even if updates are like locked behind GTA Plus, I won't get it. The only way I'll get it is if I have to if I needed to play online, Austin. Do you think Rockstar can make a Blood Meridian game? I want something about the scalp hunting area. I want a darker Wild West game. How would they go about it? Blood Meridian? Hang on, I gotta look this up, because I have no idea what this is that you're talking to me about right now. Oh, it's a horror, like, it's a horror novel, okay. I think that, I don't think Rockstar's, I mean, Rockstar had some dark things in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I don't know if it'll ever go, that dark. I mean, they had the Skinners, which, the Skinners did scalp people. Like, the Skinners, you see what the Skinners did to people. Yes, Topped. At least better than what it is now. Look at that hand. So, the guy who told me I suck at poker before, look at that hand right now. Look at that. See that? Now, got that. I'm gonna leave here.
Nice to see you again.
I'm still excited for GTA 6, even though after the controversies. Red Tears, Angola. I'll look into it. I'll be going here, guys. I want to have some dinner. I haven't had dinner yet. I will answer a few questions before I head out here. So if you guys, like, want to, like, ask me a few questions, if you guys want to ask me, like, a few questions, I'll answer your questions before I head out here. If you guys like the stream, drop a like on it, and subscribe to me, I guess, if you're new, if you enjoy my content. I think GTA 6 is gonna get released earlier than that. I think it'll be like spring 2027. Hamzat. Are you a Zionist? No. No, my loyalty is only to the United States. That's it. So, like, I'm only loyal to my own country. Have you ever gotten around to seeing more Blue Bloods yet? No, I haven't, Zach. What's my favorite football team? I'm not into football. I've never. I know it's a bit surprising, but I've never been into it personally. I've never watched it much. What happens if America was part of the monarchy? Hell, we wouldn't have our country. I don't think America would be as successful as it is today if it was part of the monarchy. What is the first nation to recognize the United States? Morocco. A lot of people think it's France, but no, it's Morocco, actually. Have I gone swimming? Yeah, I swam in my pool the other day. Bit ridiculous. I think the Moroccan government had something to do with it, Dalton. My favorite sport? Maybe billiards pool. If you don't count that, then... I don't know, I'd have to think about this. Soccer, maybe? Yes, I still want to do one on Dead Gangster. Hey, Hamzat, yes, I gotta play some of the Resident Evil games. I gotta play those. I'll play Vice City Stories for the 20th anniversary, and also later this month, we'll do Saints Row 1 for the 20th anniversary. We'll do that.
Howdy, mister.
Okay, guys, so I guess I'll be heading out here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will have another part of Assassin's Creed tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.